So
Namaste, Captain G.
Namaste,
Good
namaste, namaste.
Good evening. Yeah, namaste.
good evening. Welcome to the Friday Study Circle. Here we basically study or reflect together on the text of mainly Mother and Sri Aurobindo. And it's an expansive experience because, usually when we read, we have a limited window. But when we gather here together, there's like the beauty of the diversity that we get, look into, a view into is it's a very big blessing. So thank you. So I would request anybody who's ready to kindly unmute and we can start with the sharing. Captain, you're already unmuted. Would you like to go first?
Oh yeah, I can start off.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Probably, this is the topic is the realization of the cosmic self.
Okay.
The realization of cosmic self. The paragraph starts with our first imperative aim. Our first imperative aim.
Is this it? When we draw back from the mind?
Yes, same.
Yes.
So I was thinking about who am I actually in the process. There was a question. So this is the synthesis of yoga. So beautifully it has been narrated here in this paragraph. So I'll just read it out first. Our first imperative aim when we draw back from mind, life, body, and all else that is not our eternal being is to get rid of the false idea or of self by which we identify ourselves with the lower existence and can realize only our apparent being as perishable or mutable creatures in a perishable or even mutable world. We have to know ourselves as the self, the spirit, the eternal. We have to exist consciously in our true being. Therefore, this must be our primary, if not our first one, and all-absorbing idea and effort in the path of knowledge. But when we have realized the eternal self that we are, when we have become that inalienably, we have still a secondary aim to establish the true relation between this eternal self and that we are, and the mutable existence and mutable world, which till now we had falsely taken for our real being and our sole possible status. So while reading this, the thoughts which were coming to the mind, that recognition of me or recognition of ourselves, so that has to start as fast as possible. So probably all these years we have not given much importance to it from the beginning, since maybe for myself, because we always say, okay, who are you? So we say that I am son of so and so, or I am brother of so and so, or something, or I'm the body, or I'm this. This is my qualification. So like that we had. But here it says that no, this is not actually. Whatever is perishable and whatever is changing every day, so that cannot be the self. That is not the description of my. This is not my description, or nobody can recognize me through that. Or it will be difficult to say actually unless we reach to a very top point that I am the same, like Christ said that my Father and me are one. So there is no difference. That consciousness we have to we have to reach. Once we reach that, then we can think the world in front of us will totally change actually. But the inclusiveness probably will come in. So these are the thought process which are coming to my mind. So I'll request others, anybody can give us the thoughts which are coming to the mind.
And would anybody like to share anything on this?
No, a few things are coming here. Again, a beautiful passage, and thank you for bringing this up. And when you were reading this out, it was appearing to me that as if all the masters in their compassion have given us the same mithai, same sweet, in various different ways. And this that we have read, it's not that the first time we are reading this, but again, in a different way, Sri Aurobindo places this in front of us. Why? Because we forget. We forget because outer situations become so overwhelming that we forget the aim of our life. And this is very, very beautiful. This master called Rupert Spira, he also talks about what you were sharing today, words of Sri Aurobindo. So he says that just like Mother and Sri Aurobindo talk about integral yoga, they say that nirvana, or the liberation from the knot of ego, is the first step in integral yoga. It's not that we are just born for moksha from ego and that is it. And that's what you were sharing here, that once I have connected, stabilized my contact with knowingly as consciousness, knowingly, and it's a long process. Those of us who are on the path, they know how arduous it is, because it's so subtle that we don't catch it. The mind cannot grasp it. But I cannot say that I have it, because the moment I say I have it, I've lost it. So it's very, very, and that's why Kabir would say it's a very tricky razor's edge. The moment I think I've got it, immediately my attention slips and, I'm back in the ego trap again. So to stabilize first, what was appearing to me, that first we have to stabilize ourselves as knowingly as consciousness. Who am I? I am the knowing behind the thought. Who am I? I am the knowing. Again and again, things will become overwhelming, challenging. But in the middle of that challenge, through something or the other, I have to remind myself, I am the knowing of it. I am the knowing of it. And then what you were reading was that what appeared to me, that once I have stabilized in that essence, which is again, it goes on and on, this process, this holy dip in the Ganges that I take, the holy dip in the sacred divine nectar, this has to come out in thoughts, feelings, and the body. So this is what you were reading out, that this now has to transform each thought, as Mother says, has to turn to the divine. So yeah, it would be nice to read this again. Thank you for sharing this. So I'll just go through this again. Our first imperative aim when we draw back from the mind, life, body. So thoughts, emotions, physical sense perceptions. When I am doing the neti, when I'm saying I am the knowing of the thoughts, I am the knowing of the feeling, I am the knowing of the ache or the pain I have. So I am taking a step back. When I draw back from mind, life, and body, and all else that is not our eternal being, because thoughts keep on changing, feelings keep on changing, that is not eternal. That's why we say samsara is fleeting, everything comes and goes. So thoughts, feelings, sensations, they come and go and come and go. But that which does not come and go is the knowing. Knowing never goes anywhere. Just like a chair or a table may come in the room, but the space never goes anywhere. So he says that is to get, what is the idea? Why we are doing it is to get rid of the false idea of self, to correct the case of mistaken identity. Because when I know myself as the image in my head, I suffer. When I know others as the image I have about them in the head, I suffer. Others' relationships suffer. Opinions, when we are too clinging too much to our opinions. So is to get rid, so to correct the mistaken identity. I was forgetting who I am truly. Now I am placing the right identity. I'm placing the focus. As mother says, consciously knowing ourselves as consciousness. Unconsciously, we are all consciousness, but I have to become conscious of it. So the false idea of self by which we identify ourselves, right, with the lower existence. When I lose myself in thought feelings, I identify with them and I lose myself in the lower existence and can realize only our apparent being as perishable or immutable creatures in the perishable or ever mutable world. So when I'm identifying with the outer personality, then I am fearful. Why? Because the body will go. So I am fearful that what will happen to me. We have to know ourselves as the self, the spirit, the eternal, that which never comes and goes. And this is not for a few of us, this is birthright for all of us. We cannot be happy or joyous or content without this. We have to know ourselves as the self, the spirit, the eternal. So clearly he puts this, again and again. We have to exist consciously in our true being. So knowing myself as the knowing consciously. Unknowingly, I am divine, but knowingly, I have to become divine. And then he says, therefore, this must be our primary, if not our first one, and all-absorbing idea. So there may be other ideas that I have in head, for regarding life, but this has to be primary if I am a little sincere about this or want to do this. An effort in the path of knowledge, but when we have realized, so now he talks about post-enlightenment sadhana, so or parallel to enlightenment sadhana. This is how Rupert Spira puts it, that we have to do post-enlightenment sadhana. So once we know that I am not the thought, not the feeling, I know it strongly in my being, parallelly I am stabilizing myself as consciousness, and I am bringing that beauty from inside the spirit out in thoughts and feelings, and there comes the Buddhist, these 6 paramitas of the kindness, generosity, love, compassion. They can only come if I correct this mistaken identity. So he says, but when we have realized the eternal self, now that itself is a long, arduous journey. We have to realize this. I can never claim that I have done that, because the next moment a challenge may appear and you are lost in the drama again. So one can never say that, it's masters usually, they prohibit, they don't say that I am realized. A truly realized master would never say that I am realized. So why? Because they are very aware. Kabir says that jab tak, till the last breath in my body, I have to be vigilant. The ego can jump up anytime. So he says that when we have realized the eternal self that we are, when we have become that inalienably, now I'm effortlessly consciousness. Right now, what we are doing is we are putting effort. We are sitting every day for 10 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever time we give. Okay, I will stay put as consciousness. I will know myself as consciousness. So we are putting effort. Now he says that when we have become that inalienable, now nobody can sway me away from that. We have still a secondary aim. This is the beauty of integral yoga, that the journey does not stop here. To establish the true relation between this eternal self that we are and the mutable existence. So he is not leaving the samsara as it is. He's saying we can change this and we can make this, as he says, life divine. So the divinity that I touch within me, all of us have, touches here and there, then and now. We try to put it out in action. What mother says, walking towards perfection in thoughts, feelings, and body. Mutable existence and mutable world, which till now we had falsely taken for our real being. So I know this is a dream. Now this is the beauty. I know this is a dream, but let me create a beautiful dream. Why to make the dream a drain? While I have to live with this. And that's why he says it's a dream fact. Sri Aurobindo about Maya, he says, yeah, it is, it's appearing, it comes and goes, but it's a dream fact. So he does not exclude it like Shankara, he says that Shankara excluded it, that Brahm is Satya and Jagat is Mithya, and he said that we don't have to do anything about it. So here Sri Aurobindo is giving us our next employment, if one can say, that don't stop there. Go ahead, take up the responsibility of transforming your thoughts, feelings, which are mutable, to the divinity also. So I think this is very, very, to me, thank you for bringing this up. It's puts the thing in right perspective again and again for us. Yeah. So if anyone wants to share anything, I spoke a little too much. One thing which is coming to me is that we fail. I see myself failing all the time, that, on one hand, I would read this, and on the other hand, a thought may come, which may be not a right kind of a thought. But I think that's why Mother says Aryan spirit, Sri Aurobindo talks about Aryan spirit, that shamelessly I have to go on. I will fail, but not to take the failures too strongly. With the help of a guide, a mentor, a friend, or a book, you put yourself back on the track, shamelessly. I think that's what I can see here, that we will fail, but not to get drowned in our failures, and to just kind of, Mother says, shake the dust off your pants and move on. And I think in that,
failure,
yes,
yeah.
please, yeah.
That failure always occurs when I identify myself as a wife or a mother or a sister, no? That time, that feeling goes off actually. You are when we read these things and when we are in satsang, it is all okay, fine. But when we deal with the outer circumstances or outer people, this feeling, as you said, shamelessly again and again have to remind ourselves. But that reminding also comes only in retrospective, always. After some time, I will remind myself, oh my God, we again forgot, we again involved in that unnecessarily. Yeah.
I think, Chitraji, along with retrospective reminding, I have seen that in the middle of a challenge, for example, I was actually going through something today, and I asked a friend to remind me, of the truth, because in the middle of the challenge, there is some part of me which knows that this is not my bestest possibility. And I think not only retrospectively, usually we do that, but also in the middle of the challenge, when we know I'm getting too identified with this external situation. I think if we have the willingness to put ourselves right on the track, we can, parallelly also do that.
Yeah, this is my sincere prayer to Mother nowadays, actually. I have to remind myself again and again these things. Yeah. It's beautiful. This paragraph always, as you said, Sri Aurobindo brought out in a very beautiful and unique way everything. Especially we are reading Synthesis of Yoga, no? Now we are, it's very beautiful. The way he explains everything.
In fact, the Ramakrishna Paramhans, he got married. So once we are in the society or the family life, so what has happened is that the last sentence of this paragraph is very, very important, because we are already in the family life or the social life or all this. We have not renounced the family life, and we have become all sannyasi like this. So what has happened is that we have to see both the sides. So the relationship is to be established. That is, this is now we have become inalienable. Then say that you have to establish the true relation between the eternal self and that we are, and the mutable existence. So this mutable existence, so always it will come as long as we are in the society or in the nature, connected with the nature. Whether it is a family or society, wherever it may be. So this relation we have to establish. So he has given many stories actually at a different occasion around Vishnu Paramahansa. So he said that say there's some housemate working in the house, and at her residence, she has got a small child, baby. So and in the house where she is working, and there is also a small child of the where the house owner. So when that child was crying or something and all, and she was asked to take care, and then she is singing a song or something and all that, and a person from outside will feel that as if the child belongs to her, but actually she has also got a Ramu, Ramu or whatever with the name, that Ramu is there at home. She is always remembering that Ramu at home, not this Ramu at present on the lap. So this is that you have to be the two duties you have to perform, and you are here as a society or in the family. There are a lot of jobs and responsibilities will come in, but your mind has to be focused somewhere else. So many type of explanation or stories he has given, like that flattened rice. The earlier this paddy is been boiled and a little bit of dried in the sun, and after that it is put into that, and it has become a flat this thing which we call chuda in Hindi. So this chuda, how it has been made, and the person who is doing it there. So there are seven. She is performing 7-8 jobs, but the main attention at that particular time is on the hand, which she is putting again and again in that musla, which is hammering it and making it flatten. Because if the hand, the finger goes, then the life goes, because her income and all everything will stop, and she will become a liability. So the other 5-6 jobs she's doing, she's talking to the person, those who are lifting that device, and the fire is burning, then she is controlling that fire and moving those paddy, making it hotter. So like the customer has come to buy, she is talking to that. So there are 5-6 important jobs she is performing at a time, but the hand is only taken care of. Only one, mind is always there. The hand, that hand should not be getting pressed with that hammer like things. So likewise, the last sentence is very important. Like, we cannot go out from this society or from that family life or something and all. But mind has to be focused always there. That who am I? Who am I actually? That is the thing. Thank you.
And I think also to see our imperfections, that just like an artist does, when we are making art or music, we also must have a capacity to look at it objectively. So if I am having a thought, if I'm having a feeling, and I see that on one hand, I am reading Mother Sri Aurobindo and really buying into it, I like it, but there is no love in my action, there is no love in my thoughts and feelings, it's full of negativity. I think this objective kind of realization, as Mother says, that whatever is ugly, become aware of it and bring it to light. So I think if I begin to defend my tendencies, then I have no chance. But if I become aware of tendencies, that yes, the burai is still there, as Kabir says, that all the negativity is in me, not outside, in me. And when I become aware of it, then I can become conscious of it and put light on it, rather than taking into a different way ki people are out there good, but look at me, I'm so bad. So in that manner also we can take, but not to take it in that manner, to recognize where we are, to be very grounded, that I still have a long way to go. And there is hardly any love in my actions, thoughts, and relationships, especially with our close ones. That's our challenge. And I would like to transform it, not to be like mushy love, but a sense of loving presence, that if I am there, it's just I'm there. It's not that I'm cold and aloof, and I see that there is a lot of work that we need there. Lot of work, yes.
Mother says there that you love with detachment. You love, but then you remain detached, not indifferent. So that love of detachment is different from the love of indifference. And if we continue to love with detachment, then we maintain our focus on what we are supposed to do, where we are supposed to go. But if we love with involvement or with indifference, the quality of that love changes.
I think this brings an answer to an inward question I had, how to improve stabilization in consciousness, because what Dr. Monica said, become aware of your tendencies and bring it to light, be a living presence, that's the challenge then. So, because when I read Step Back from Mind, Life and Body, and a kind of unglue from the self as we know it, that's connected with the lower part of our being, to me it easily becomes a kind of roulette, a kind of whirling around of all kinds of things which I know I can detach from, but not knowing how to step more forward into the consciousness. That's what I wanted to share. Yeah.
And parallelly, one thing more is coming again in the same context is Mother has shared that our journey is from the desire self to the true self. And I see this very, very strongly now, that this clinging, as Buddha said, attachment is the cause of suffering. And the moment I see that I'm uneasy, I see that I'm clinging to something. I mean, we don't have to put effort into this. As if by nature I am clingy, by nature I am sticky. And now it's almost a challenge to disidentify from this sticky nature. I see that whenever I sense a sense of heaviness or uneasiness in me, and I ask myself, okay, what am I sticking to now? And it is impossible that I don't get something in my head that I'm not sticking to. I get some opinion, some idea, this should be this way, that way, that I have my right way with me. And the moment I let it go, the sticky character, I can be okay, even with the circumstances not being according to my way. And to recognize the stickiness and to let go of the stickiness, I think, remains a challenge for us moment to moment, every moment. Because one moment I can be extremely non-sticky, and I say, oh, I have done it. Look, I'm so breezy and light, gliding over water. But the next moment something comes and I'm sticky again. I'm sticking to some judgment, some opinion, maybe a person, maybe an image that I have in my head about myself or others. And it makes me heavy because now I have to protect that image. So, yeah.
Hi, I have a question. Sorry. Is anyone speaking? Sorry.
Yeah, Mayur, please go ahead.
After you,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Hi. So what I wanted to know, correct me if I'm wrong, we are asking a question to follow two different paths together. First one is to perform our duties in the relationships we have with other one. And the second one is to follow the path, the spiritual path. But I feel this is something contradictory, uh, because what history has shown us and from our own personal experiences, when we try and do some multitasking, uh, we always disturb both the things we are doing. We aren't perfect in any of them when we are doing multitasking. So how can we follow both routes and not disrupt both the things? That's my question. If I was clear.
Yes, Mayur, your question was clear. Anybody who would want to comment on that, please unmute. And
So Mayur, why is it appearing to you two routes? Because what we started with, the lines by Sri Aurobindo, what is appearing to me at the moment is that he's sharing that first you correct the case of mistaken identity, and then you express that right identity in thoughts, feelings, and sense perceptions, right? So this is actually one path. So can you rephrase and tell what are the two paths, because I'm not conscious of. Yeah.
So the so we until it's difficult to be on one path because we are always living in duality. Let's say one is that we are performing our day-to-day activities, whether it is work, whether it is relationships with someone, your family, your spouse, your children, etc. Other one is it can be because these are responsibilities you cannot avoid, and on the other hand you want to go in a direction where you want to realize your higher self. So these are the struggles that one have, and if we are trying, as someone said it during this talk, that we have to like follow these two paths. But my question is like, it's difficult for an human being to be perfect when he's doing both. That's what history has shown
Yeah.
us.
Mother has said something really nice here. For example, when you said that my purpose is to realize my higher self, but I see that oh my God, I have to do so many things on the way. And to you, as you are saying, that it appears that this is where I want to go, and look, where all I have to be, right? So how can I do this together? And mother says that before you truly stumble upon your higher purpose, or whatever you have to be in this life, whatever comes your way, do it in a sense of service. And all of us have families. I think most of us may have our families, children or spouses or in-laws or whatever living with us. And it's in this area that my knowledge gets tested. Because if I am going towards my higher self and I am not able to relate well in human relationships, then actually here nothing is happening. But if here something is happening, then I will see the fragrance of it in my relationships also. So I would be in the relationships, whatever little I have to do, not that there is a kind of a definite image of a relationship. Whatever little I deem fit there, I do it in a sense of service. Now again, there it's a very complex thing, because many a times we have to set boundaries. We cannot just offer our complete time to external things. So I agree that it's a challenging domain, and not only for one of us but for all of us, to how to be in the right attitude to offer my presence, time, and whatever is there, but at the same time to also set boundaries that I have to stabilize myself in my practice. So it's a challenge. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Monica.
Actually, you don't have to call me Dr. Monica. I don't know. Monica is enough. Thank you so much.
Okay.
yeah, Nandini, you had wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think what Mayur asked, and I think similar, and I'm glad that this, this topic today has come up, because this afternoon something happened between, between our, in the family, and like she said, right? I mean, at that moment, like Chitraji said, how do you deal with it? And it was a very okay, maybe not strange, but I think it was somewhere that we resolved it in like, few seconds, because those few seconds there was so much of chaos, and the minute that uh, I think I became aware of that there was anger, and it was, it was there. I didn't hold any judgment for it, all right, for the person as well as for what I was experiencing. And in like just 5 seconds, like, the situation sort of just became calm. And yeah, and that's how this, like, this topic, this is was probably one of the questions that, so sort of working on my mind for a long time. How do you sort of, that challenge, because it's a continuous work in progress. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Nandini. So it appears like, we want certain things, we aspire for them, we might pray for them, we try to live in more awareness, and suddenly we start, not suddenly, but in some time, long or short, we do start seeing some changes. So Mayur, again, it's like, especially initially, it's a bit tough because it seems like two different worlds. And yet, how, Captain, the beautiful story that he had shared about that lady, beating that grain for the husk and stuff, and again, very often this example is used about that lady walking on the wire. Monica uses it quite often. That how she's walking, and she's also, she has to perform other things, and still, I mean, her eyes are somewhere else, her ears are somewhere else, and yet there is something in her which is connected to the wire. The same way, there's something in me which has to be connected to my higher self. And I think in the expert that Captain had shared the word false, how the problem is not that I don't know. The problem is that I already know too much, right? Like, and what I know has no bearing with the truth. That's the problem. So as my, identities with the false, they become less and less true in my eyes, when I see that they are mostly, they are more illusionary, they matter less. I think then this shift starts happening. And even like even if you consider it like two different worlds, when, when we start seeing the falseness or the truth of wherever I am, it just helps one in trying to see that where do I want to stand, and so when even huge thing happens, which would have earlier really, kind of felt that the earth is kind of coming to an end, with this realization, with this recognition of the truth or the big picture, I think that kind of doesn't happen or happens less and less. And this whole, the discussion, I was like listening, it was so nice, and it reminded me of a story which I was reminded of. I was doing something from Alok Da, and he had reminded of the story. It's from, I think, T.S. Eliot. So the story was that he was visiting a countryside, and it started raining, and he had to find shelter. So he quickly ran, and he, walked on the first door, and a peasant opened, and he was like, "Who are you? Where are you coming from? And where are you going?" So T.S. Elias, he answered, and he was immediately given the shelter and invited in and stuff. But then he says that he couldn't sleep the whole night because he realized that the questions that, the answers that he had given were not true. He didn't really know where he's coming from. He didn't really know who he was, and he didn't really know where he was going. So, then he basically wrote about this and reflected, and I don't know what all he did. But he basically says that these are the three questions that we need to we should be asking ourselves every day to keep us, a bit more focused. That where am I coming from? Who am I? And where am I going? So, in if I know we have stayed on this too long, but even the second para, I think is really, it helps in giving more clarity. So if we want to go through it, I just read a part of it, but we can see whoever wants to, I mean, anybody wants to unmute and just read this, so we can go through this as well. Sardaji, would you like to read it? You haven't spoken or shared today.
Yeah, I'll read.
Thank you.
Monica, Taru, sorry, can you please put it in a bigger font? I'm not able to see this clearly. Screen share in big font. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. In order that there should be any real relation, it must be a relation between true realities. Formerly, we had thought the eternal self to be a remote concept far from our mundane existence, if not an illusion and an unreality, because in the nature of things, we could not conceive of ourselves as anything except this mind. Mind, life, body, changing and moving in the succession of time. When we have once got rid of our confinement to this lower status, we are apt to seize on the other side of the same erroneous relation between self and world. Beautiful. We tend to regard this eternity, which we increasingly are, or in which we live, as the sole reality and begin to look down from it upon the world and man as a remote illusion and unreality, because that is a status quite opposite to our new foundation, in which we no longer place our roots of consciousness, from which we have been lifted up and transfigured, and with which we seem to have no longer any binding link. Especially, is this likely to happen if we have made the finding of the eternal self not only our primary, but our one and absorbing objective in the withdrawal from the lower triplicity. For then we are likely to shoot at once from pure mind to pure spirit without treading the stairs between this middle and that summit, and we tend to fix on our consciousness the profound sense of a gulf which we cannot bridge and can no longer cross over again except by a painful fall.
Again, this concept of sticking, like, it's not that we stop sticking, it's just that we keep sticking to one thing, and then we are, kind of, we say that, okay, this is not it. And then, how Monica had also mentioned in the beginning, we just keep sticking, and anything that I'm sticking to, except, say, the divine, would be the false. And, like it said, that it's like, first I stick to this, and then when I'm looking at it from the other side, I start feeling that this is wrong, and I start looking down on that. And neither side is better than the other, right? Sometimes we feel that, okay, wearing the spiritual hat And they say that the spiritual ego is the worst kind of ego, right? Like, again, it's very important to know that it has to be merged. And yeah.
This thing, I think this would also relate with what Mayur was sharing earlier, that it does not need to have this gulf. We don't need this gulf. And then in the next paragraph, he also shares that they are intimately connected. It is a gulf which is perceived gulf, but it is not an actual gulf which has to be. And that has been what he shares is that with the ascetic path, or people who would just abandon life for a spiritual realization, Mother and Sri Aurobindo have shared that that was maybe then necessary, maybe in those times that was necessary. But now we are at this stage that if we do not bridge this seeming gulf, and if we make spirituality something else and my regular life something else, we are going to really we are doomed, because that's what we are doing to earth, as a planet. That's what we are done. So okay, I may be spiritually realized, but now I have nothing to do with what is happening in the earth. I have nothing to do. So I'm mixing my garbage up, I mix the plastic up with the wet waste. Why? Because it does not concern me. See, I have something higher to do. And that's where we fool ourselves, as you were sharing. And also I have seen this with many a times, I think it's always nice to meet different kind of people, gather different kind of experiences, because many a times in our living in this narrow world, especially spiritual one, we think that we have got it, and it really shocks or maybe surprises that first of all there nothing can be got, and the other thing is that it's a journey for everyone, and there is so much that I am still clinging to, which has to be let go of, especially those of us who are in the divine work, one can say. People many a times they say I'm doing the divine work, and we can make it a facade for the ego. Now ego can pick it up as a facade. Look, I am doing divine work, relieve me of my other responsibility. So as if that is tuch, as he was sharing here, that is inferior, and let me do something higher. And again we don't realize that ego game starts again. Superior, inferior, limited conceptual mind, always categorizing, always boxing. I think this is very crucial, very, very crucial. Something which we have to be aware of all the time, individually in our journeys. And this happens with those of us, especially reading spiritual books, attending spiritual workshops, that I am something, mera ho gaya, tumhara ab hoga to dekhenge. So this is, yeah, very relevant. Thank you. Thank you for bringing these lines up.
I think it's a self-created gulf. We create it, honestly. Because many times, even during the reading of synthesis, we are seeing that it says on the same subject that this gulf is created, and it's a very deep gulf which often we cannot bridge because we do not want to bridge it. So we create it, and then we stay happy in that, because here is one right on the top and here is the other who is appearing low down. It's not true, but it was a revelation for me when I realized that we create it, and it doesn't actually exist. We sort of fuel it to get created, and then we keep on increasing it. Whereas if we did not allow it to grow deeper, or did not allow it to become to widen the gap, probably we would have been able to tide over it slightly better.
Yes, Jyotsna ji, thank you. Um, Monica, what you were sharing also reminded me of, a lecture, like a session from Acharya Prashant, when he had talked about Kabir, that how Kabir could be anyone, like he didn't have to work, especially once he was a bit established. He had so many people who was, coming to him every day, bringing him stuff, which mostly he refused. But he was a weaver, right? And that's like kind of looked down upon, and it's such a tedious thing to do, to weave. And yet the beauty that he felt in that weaving, and how he would do everything, weave, go to the heart, sell his cloth, come back, right, talk to people, that how we cannot just say that, mera ho gaya, like you were saying. And it's very important, like Josna ji said, it's all self created, and again we realize this, and yet we stick. And it's a shock when we see that I've again stuck. It's like it doesn't even come naturally that, okay, I'm sticking, sometimes it does. But it's really nice to see this again and again, that, oh, here I'm sticking again, here I'm, sticking again. Yeah. So I think we can move to somebody else's sharing. Sandeep ji hasn't shared anything. In case he wants to, maybe would be a good time to unmute and say something.
I'm sorry, Saruji, just outside. I will
Okay, yeah.
I'll be sharing next time.
issue.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. So I didn't want to put you on spot, just wondered if you had anything
no
to
issues.
share. That's
Thank you.
perfect. Yeah. So anyone who would want to go next, please unmute and.
No, ek cheez aur, I would like to share one more thing. I think it's so easy to get distracted by the external. So easy, so easy. So easy that we miss it, that I'm getting distracted. Distracted, when I mean distracted, not that we should not engage with the external world at all the times we are engaging, but the thing that to realize that it's my journey. There is nothing out there. I may be, for example, we were having this Pondicherry, we were having these workshop. Chitraji was there. I think Chitraji was the only participant who did not miss any session. So she was there with us throughout. And so what I realized, through those sessions, I had to anchor them and be actively engaged with them. I was also had to give some little talk there. But I realized that that I'm not going to get something out of here. It's my journey. It's my inner journey. It's my inner journey. So I think because earlier, 2 years ago, not 2 years ago, last previous 2 years when Living Light also started, I think that was a very, very challenging time for me. And it's Mother's grace that in that challenging time, we were able to start with the sessions of Living Light. I cannot tell you how much in darkness I was at that point of time. And why I was in darkness, because I really, really had got distracted. And thankfully for the Mother, we used that distraction, getting distracted in that darkness, as a raw material for progress. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And that's where the first session started on desires or depression or whatever. So I was again and again realizing that God knows I may again get distracted, but to just have these reminders that it's my journey. There's nothing out there that I'm going to change. It's in here that the change has to happen. No matter how many sessions one may take, how many, conferences one may attend, the journey is individual journey. I think that is something which does not let us get distracted, because again and again, especially when one is socially engaged, like for example, a few of us, it is easier to see that, to get distracted and say that mera ho gaya, as we were sharing, mera ho gaya, ab dekhte wahan kya hona hai. I am here for transforming India. So yes, India has to be transformed, but India is here also, and without transforming this parallelly, nothing can happen outside. So why I am sharing this is not to tell you anything, but for me as a reminder that I have to remind myself that the journey is mine, and I have to stay inside, stay within. And others may act as mirrors. There was a beautiful session by Radhe, Chitra ji also was there, about mirroring, and she was sharing that we can heal through others, that whatever tendency I see in other, for example, I see unkindness in other. So I have to, not exactly using what she was sharing, but in the essence was that I have to practice exactly the opposite in myself, which is kindness. If I see arrogance in other, I have to practice humility. So if I can use this as my continuing progress, I think then I'm not trying to fix anyone, but through others, I'm trying to do my own work. So it was a very powerful session, that mirroring one, how to use others for our journey. Yeah, just wanted to put these words.
That is the only session which is going on inside me, actually turning me. Yeah, because mirroring is really, it is beautiful. Something, yeah.
And she had used a few quotes by Mother, which some of us we may have read.
Yeah.
One of them was, whatever shocks me in the other is exactly what I have to work in myself. So this is so amazing, so amazing. So if I feel that the other is messy, I have to be tidy up within. Yeah. Quite powerful session, yes.
Then I would like to ask here something based on similar topics or similar discussion that we are having. Then how can we go ahead and argue something with someone who is not on this path? So as you said, Monica, uh, it's not two paths, it's just one, whatever you're doing and whatever your path in. So you have to be connected. So then how do you argue someone and put your point forward about something?
Mayur, do you want to give an example? Because it would depend upon context to context, because many a times I may have to put my foot down, and it's okay to be wrong or right. It's okay. I don't want to be right, because I just don't want to lose my peace over the matter. Many a times it can be such a situation, and many a times it may be such a situation that even if I lose my peace, I will take a stand because the matter is right. So it would depend, I believe, context to context, whether it is a matter worth standing up. For example, if just like we read these bodhisattva vows, in which the first line is, may I be a guard for those who need protection. So for example, innocent animals who cannot stand up for themselves if they are getting beaten or whatever, little children. So there I would take a stand. But if it's a matter of ego game, that if I get proven right in this argument, it will give me just little self satisfaction, I think I better keep my mouth shut. Taru had one example. Taru, would you like to share that example that Tenzin Palmo was sharing about that lawyer case that you were, where she stepped back? Yeah. क्या कह रहे हो?
आप करो, speaking.
So I may not remember it correctly. So what in a sense was that there was a case in court where I think there was a fight between two siblings, if I'm not wrong. And one of the sibling got more amount of property, the other one got less. And the one who got less said that I'm going to take you to the court. It's a true story, because I feel that this is not ethical. And the other person who had got the larger share, she said that, oh my God, for this you would do so much, you take it right away. So this is the beauty. I think it was so beautiful that not to lose peace over what we can survive without. And that's why I was sharing that it would depend matter to matter, because since truth is not a formula that we can apply anywhere, so it would depend what is the context. That's what I was.
So let me give you a use case then.
Yeah.
Suppose currently I'm in this dilemma of having a child or not, right? So you live with your family, and uh, it's my personal thought and opinion that in this world, to bring up a child is the heinous crime you can do nowadays, because it's it is like that. The way children are raised and the way they are taught everywhere is crime. One can do if they want to have it. But I want to put my stand over it. But as you know, you have other people who have some perception, uh, the way they have lived their life. So I'm not sure. Like Buddhism tells us to be on the middle path, right? So this is the struggle that I
Yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah. It's actually a challenge. You know, first of all, again, mothers and Sri Aurobindo's words. First of all, I resonate with you that it's a crime in the sense that where the Earth is as a planet heading, you know, the kind of air we have nowadays, the kind of almost junk that we have done to the planet, it's really alarming. And I resonate with you when you say that to bring a child right now in this situation is can be called a crime. You know, so I can resonate there. On the other hand, there are children getting born still, right? And mother and Sri Aurobindo have a proper education, prenatal education, how to conceive a child. Starting from conception, they have a proper program, you know, how to conceive a child, how to what to think of when the child is in the tummy, how to invoke a higher soul, so that because we need good souls here. All souls are good, but we need evolved uh, people here. So that's it. And the other thing is that I believe that if I do not have anything worthwhile to give my life to, you will have to do the baby. You will not be able to put your pair like Angad ki main nahi karunga. Why? Because we are too free. On the other hand, if I have too much something where I have given my life to, and I also take a parallel stand that I see that I would not like to do this, you know, because there are things which are waiting for me where I can selflessly give myself to the world rather than focusing on one child which will become mine because it's coming from my body. And again the ego game starts because we all know that how we care for our children but do not care for other children. We all know that, right? So it would depend very very strongly on where you are right now as an individual. Because if I don't have anything else to do in my life, little jobs here and there, then it's not easy to take the stand and to keep standing, because the society will become heavy. That's nothing in concrete, it's just what I feel about what you have just shared. And on the other hand, if I have something higher to offer my whole life and being too, then I can say, see, I have so much of engagement, and this is more required than focusing on one child which I will be calling mine and giving all the time attention to those children. So it's a tough call. And I believe that with prayers and invoking the right presence in you, maybe you are able to take the right decision for you. Again, the decision will differ for each one of us. That's what I feel about this.
So I have this calling for some time now. So I have this thought that is coming to me again and again to do something for children that are there, that are struggling. That's why this thought is there in me that to have a baby during this time is a heinous crime, because I see children's on road begging, not getting a shelter. So this thing is coming that I should do something for them. That's why I
Beautiful, beautiful. So,
want to take my stand.
start it. Because if you don't start it, so again, just know that this is my personal sharing, and you are, please use your discernment and whatever you have to use. Start it, give yourself, you start small. Because if you don't give yourself, we will be occupied by the little. We cannot stop that. It's a pressure, it's a huge pressure from the society. So whatever you have, and the idea is so beautiful. We have a therapist couple here, in Gurgaon, who we are connected with, and they decided not to have children. Why? Because they have so much else to cater for. So they are healing almost, one can say, the whole world that comes to them. And if they have the child, with them, we know that the attention gets focused. It's my child, I have to rear up the child, right? So if you have ideas already, just invoke grace, invoke mother or whoever you believe in to show you the right path, and right people will come who can show in which direction to go. So don't delay, don't postpone. That's my call, that if I were you, I would not delay. Yeah. If anyone wants to share anything, yeah. Thank you, Mayur, for bringing this up.
Yeah, thank you, Mayur, for bringing it up. I'm a parent myself, and yeah, so I think these questions at some point have sort of come up in, I think, most of our lives, right? If we're here, we speak as sometimes you do think that why would you want to bring a child? What can the world offer? But it's yeah, and I personally, I mean, we have a young teenager at home, so it sort of brings up a lot of questions also, what the child can but go forward. But then again, it's a call like each one of us have taken, I think, as a parent or as a to be parent at some point. But as Monica said, right, I mean, yeah, every time that probably our children step out or we step out, I think the grace of mother is all that we can invoke and ask for. So thanks. I think a lot of things today actually was put up uh, because I think past couple of days there have been quite a few challenges in many areas, not just in terms of the just the family, but I think it's also been around in I would like, some of my friends would say, more planetary, right? So there has been a lot of chaos, and I've been hearing myself quite a few things from other families and friends, and and so everyone is bringing that small little nuggets of wisdom that we can offer each other. And so thank you so much. Thank you, Mayur, and thanks to everybody here who sort of, and thank you, Monica, for starting these sessions. So thank you so much.
एक चीज और याद आ रही थी मुझे. Mother says that in whatever work you do, so whether I have a child, I don't have a child, or whether I adopt other children, mother says whatever work I do, put a drop of true consciousness there. I think that really saves us, because usually how we are doing children is very unconsciously. If I talk about myself, I could have done better. That's what I can say.
Yeah. So just to share here, when I had first, I mean, when our daughter was born, and I had the opportunity to, yes, go to, ashram before that, and I would read her books. This was one of the books that I had found. And truly speaking, yes, it was that was the way that our daughter was sort of conceived. And you won't believe it, Monica, every time I used to go to the ashram, whenever we used to travel, I used to pick up like 5-6 books, and every time a new parent would say, oh, we're thinking of having a child, I would give this book. And I mean, I didn't know if they sort of believed or not, but I would just say, maybe you would like to read it. So there's a beautiful story in the ashram. One of the parents, like, I think I think I've shared this before, but she would look at this. She had her aspiration, or maybe desire, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but the child would look a certain way. And so I think there was this story that she would look at a painting, and that is how, and when she looked at the painting is so, I mean, had a beautiful child in the arms of a beautiful mother. And when the child was born, when her child was born, I believe they said, they themselves couldn't believe, because the child looked exactly like the painting that was, there. And none of the parents had, I mean, genetically or DNA wise, but the child was born with blue eyes. And they were just totally, taken this thing. So thank you.
Mayur?
In this context, no, I want to share only one thing. When Ramakrishna Paramahamsa met Sharada Devi after marriage, because they were separate for a long time, they didn't meet at actually. But when he first met Sharada Devi, he asked her, it seems, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, you want a child, want to become a mother for that child, or you don't want a child, you become a mother of the universe. Sharda Devi said, I want to become a mother of the universe. I don't want child. Yeah.
Mayur, on a personal front, I would say to you, invoke the divine, whoever you believe in. Introspect, give yourself a certain period of time. Introspect and see what your strongest calling is. See if that calling persists and see where that calling takes you. If that calling is showing you a direction which is definitive, hands down, follow it. And people on the way will be convinced of it, provided it's an inner calling. In my own life, I followed this. And for me, it was that mother guided me. But I went a lot against the stream in the decisions which I took. And I can honestly say that a kind of a conviction comes in you where you know that voice which is telling you something concrete. It takes a form of something uh, you know which has definition. It holds, and then you just follow it, and it will give you so much inner strength to follow it, pursue it, and bring up a child that you cannot even believe you were capable of bringing up, or take the decision the other way. That will come to you if you go within. And nobody but your inner self can tell you what you are really requiring. It's I speak from my own personal conviction, and I have faced it and I have done it. And I can say for a certainty, you will get the answer if you sincerely ask for it. That's what I feel. I mean,
Thank you, Josna ji. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I also feel the same thing. Thank you.
We can either end it here. It's almost 8:15, or if somebody has any, uh, yeah.
I have a very short but a very nice thing which I read today. I mean,
Yeah.
rather, I didn't have time to read more. It was on, doing things with concentration. I think I've lost it. I will read it next time. And it is where mother says that, when a sadhak asks mother, I've lost the page, Taru. But um, a sadhak asks mother that, yeah, I got it. It's when one works and wants to do one's best, this is on a lighter note, not heavy. Yeah. One needs much time, but generally we don't have much time. We are in a hurry. How to do one's best when one is in a hurry? It is a very interesting subject, Mother says, and I wanted to speak to you about it in detail one day. Generally, when men are in a hurry, they do not do completely what they have to do, or they do badly what they do. Well, there is a third way. It is to intensify one's concentration. If you do that, you can gain half the time even from a very short time. Take a very ordinary example. To have your bath and to dress, the time needed varies with people, doesn't it? But let us say half an hour is required for doing everything without losing time and without hurrying. Then, if you are in a hurry, one of the two things happens. You don't wash so well or you dress badly. But there is another way to concentrate one's attention and one's energy. Think only of what one is doing and not of anything else, not to make a movement too much, to make the exact movement in the most exact way. And it is an experience lived. I can speak of it with certitude. You can do in 15 minutes what you were formerly doing in half an hour, and do it as well, at times even better, without forgetting anything, without leaving out anything, simply by the intensity of the concentration. And this is the best answer to all those who say, oh, if one wants to do things well, one must have time. This is not true. For all that you do, study, play, work, there is only one solution: to increase one's power of concentration. And when you acquire this concentration, it is no longer tiring. Naturally, in the beginning, it creates a tension. But when you have grown used to it, the tension diminishes, and a moment comes when what fatigues you is not to be thus concentrated, to disperse yourself, allow yourself to be swallowed by all kinds of things and not to concentrate on what you do. One can succeed in doing things even better and more quickly by the power of concentration. And in this way, you can make use of work as a means of growth. Otherwise, you have this vague idea that work must be done disinterestedly. But there is a greater danger there, for one is very quick to confuse disinterestedness with indifference. I found it very apt in our day-to-day life when very often, you hear somebody say, or you yourself say, my God, I don't have time for this. And I have found that it does work. Uh, Intense concentration on a particular activity drastically reduces your time of performance. And time and again, the result is very good. I mean, the result is better sometimes, or it's very good. So I just thought on a lighter note, I'll bring it up, what Mother said.
It is excellent, actually. Uh, there's a practical life. I have used the two things. Like when I joined services, I was told in the morning all the jobs are required to be done within 3 minutes, and I practiced over a period of time, and it was possible. There was one. And secondly, there was one course which I've undergone in the academy, was the rapid reading course. So if it was taking 5 minutes to read one page of some text, and by practice, it could have been done in 1 minute by concentration and knowing how the delay can be, removed. There are a few catch in that, and if it can be removed, because there should be, your understanding also as well as reading. It is just not reading. Apprehension means this thing, comprehension should be there. So it was possible by both actually. Then once you have done for a couple of 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, then you say, like boldly, if I say somebody that yes, in the morning this job, all this job can be done. What you do in the morning, all these jobs can be done within 3 minutes. The people will say, you just show us how. I say, I can do it, but you have to see to believe it. Then somebody is telling 1 hour, somebody is taking 45 minutes, somebody is taking half an hour, and all this. It's still there. But those who have believed that yes, I can do it, they have reduced. So it's a beautiful passages which are concentrated. Yes.
I have practically tried it and it works. Much to my disbelief.
I'm so sorry, I pressed wrong button. Sorry.
It does work. Especially I experimented with cooking, because we all say it takes so long, and if you have to follow the steps. But I found that if I stay silent, concentrate, and multitask in my kitchen, I get better dishes in less than half the time, and I target and achieve far more, and I'm much more neat. I'm able to, the output is far more. So I just found it fun to read.
Jyotsna ji, I think you were going to at one point going to take that little topic on pets, mother and pets. I mean, mother's this thing on pets. Is that done, or is it at some point?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right.
We'll do that.
Yeah. We have a pet, so I'm really eager to find out. Thank you.
इस बार की एम मैगजीन है ना, ऑल इंडिया मैगजीन, इस बार की नहीं, बिफोर दिस आई maybe I have a PDF I can share. That's only about animals, mothers and Sri Aurobindo's words about animals. So maybe I'll send the PDF across with you if you are interested.
Is it available online?
It's only available to members who are members of Sri Aurobindo Society.
Yeah.
I have a member, but I get nothing.
You are a member from which location?
Kunnur.
Kunnur. तो आपने जो address, whatever address you have given.
No, it will come by post, but is it available online?
No, it's only available if, for example, in between they were not sending the hard copies, they were sending the PDFs. So if you have provided them with an email ID, then they send the PDFs in that.
This is from All India Magazine, Monica?
It's All India Magazine, which is given to subscribers of
Yes.
Sri Aurobindo Society.
Yeah, I have it. So which topic is it? Which issue?
I'll share with you. It's about animals. Maybe I can share with the group itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I have a pet here. She's a very beautiful cat, and I called her Usha, and so she is really my morning darling, so to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I would love to share this. Actually, I truly understand. I mean, I'm sure others who have pets also. So there was on the first day of the new year, a very, very sweet bird came and sat on our ledge, and she came and sat there, and she was sort of chirping, and then it sort of started like a little lilt, and then she was singing, you could hear whatever tune was. And we have a golden retriever, and her name is Stardust. So I just casually told Stardust, that, oh, look what has come outside our on our balcony. And I mean, I expected that she would sort of go run and chase and shoo her away. But Stardust went quietly out to the balcony and sat there. And for a good 10 minutes, the birds sang and started listen to her. I think it was a moment of, when you understand what love is and joy. It was just captured in that moment. For us, we were just like, totally taken, like, yeah, it was just a beautiful sight that day. So that's about it. So I just wanted to end, I mean,
Okay, so I think we'll end the session here today. Thank you so much for joining us, and
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Hope to see all of us again next Friday. Thank you.